When I got into the military, I found out that, most people couldn't run 5 kilometers. So I actually was known to be a runner. So this is really the first time in my life. So from there, when I was a junior officer after all my training, our officer commanding the company I was in, so he was a major at the time, I was a lieutenant. He came back from his commander's O group and said that our commanding officer of our battalion was bringing in a half marathon clinic, and he said, and you're doing this clinic, and I was one of the U's. So never ran a road race. So I went and ran a half marathon, and I was overdressed, and it was in the summertime, and I had long sleeve shirt on, long sleeve pants, didn't have a watch, had no idea, ran a 1:45, had no idea that that was good. And it started from there.
Oh my gosh. I love the fact that you had no watch, no gear, no nothing. And today we spend so much money and so much thought and so much this or that into you got to have the right watch. It's going to go, so get a bigger watch so it goes farther.
Yes.
The batteries last longer. We have the phone, we have the GPS, we have the right shoes, the socks.
I didn't have any of that.
And your first half marathon was at 1:45.
Yes.
Hey, everybody. Welcome again to another amazing episode of Running Strong Mind Body Connection. This is the podcast that brings our mind and body together because we're runners, right? And it's about mental fitness. It's about the intersection of our mindset and the human experience, both on and off the road. The human experience, though, brings me to so many amazing people. And today, my guest is Deneen. And this girl, I saw her at Across the Years back in 2017, just crushing the course with her power walk. And how many times have I tried to tag onto her? And I've seen you, because I think that year in 2017, I was doing 72 hours, you did 48 hours. I was
Yes.
shooting for 200. I didn't do my 200 till the year after that. But Deneen, welcome to Running Strong
Yeah.
Mind Body Connection podcast. So excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here, Karen. Thank you for having me.
It's been forever to try to get you on my podcast.
I find the time difference is a bit of a challenge because you're there, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and it's 8 p.m. here. And for a while, I was living in Newfoundland. So it's actually a half an hour, even later. So I found even just the time difference was a little hard.
Yeah, it is hard. And but thank you for finally coming to my podcast.
I'm excited.
So people, not everybody knows you, Deneen, but you're the cutest little thing running around across the years.
Thank
So,
you.
so
I
share your story with us, how you got into running and kind of your little adventure in life.
Sure. Okay. So, one of the questions, I don't know about you, but I always get asked, oh, did you run in high school? No, I certainly didn't. I was a swimmer. Uh, so I decided I was going to join the Canadian military in my kind of early to mid 20s. And I was told I had to be able to run 5 kilometers. It wasn't really true, but that's what I was told. So, it was the early 2000s. So I taught myself how to run 5 kilometers. I would go from the gym and I figured out how far 5 kilometers was.
Nice.
And I would look at the clock of the gym when I left and went out the door. I would run down to a famous park here in Halifax called Point Pleasant Park. I'd go around the park, run back to the gym, check the time, and then the next day I would try to do the same or better. So when I got into the military, I found out that, most people couldn't run 5 kilometers. So I actually was known to be a runner. So this is really the first time in my life. So from there, when I was a junior officer after all my training, our officer commanding the company I was in, so he was a major at the time, I was a lieutenant. He came back from his commander's O group and said that our commanding officer of our battalion was bringing in a half marathon clinic, and he said, you're doing this clinic, and I was one of the U's. So never ran a road race. So I went and ran a half marathon, and I was overdressed, and it was in the summertime, and I had long sleeve shirt on, long sleeve pants, didn't have a watch, had no idea, ran a 1:45, had no idea that that was good. And it started from there.
Oh my gosh. I love the fact that you had no watch, no gear, no nothing. And today we spend so much money and so much thought and so much this or that into you got to have the right watch. It's going to go, so get a bigger watch so it goes farther.
Yes,
The batteries last longer. We have the phone, we have the GPS, we have the right shoes, the socks.
I didn't have any of that.
And your first half marathon was at 1:45.
Yes.
Good job. Good
And
job.
then I found out that because people said, "Oh, you did really well. You should do a marathon." And then I found out that the Calgary Marathon, I lived out west at the time, the following year was on my birthday. So I ran my first marathon on my birthday again. Didn't have a watch, any of that. And I ran a 3:37 and qualified for Boston and didn't know.
Holy moly.
I had no idea.
And
So I
so
didn't
did
know
you,
till the following year when I was told I had to run a sub 3:30. But really at the time I had to run a sub 3:40. So I already had it. So then I was chasing a sub 3:30 and I got it. And then I said, "Oh, I qualified for Boston." And then I found out, well, I actually qualified for Boston the year previous, but didn't know.
did you go?
After the year that I actually knew that I qualified, yes.
Yeah.
So I ran my first marathon in 2004. And then 2005, I ran the second one. And then I went to Boston in 2006.
Okay, so I went ahead of you. I think I went in 2004,
Oh, okay.
somewhere around there.
Right. So that was the start of my Boston addiction. So I had a Boston addiction for a while.
I never had Melissa Roos has a Boston addiction. Do you know Melissa Roos? She lives
Yes.
in Phoenix, fast
Okay.
runner, cute little thing. So how many Bostons do you have?
6.
Good for you.
And
It
then that
I found
stopped
it
in
to be so
24.
expensive and so
Mhm.
full and so crowded. It's easier to run 100 and cheaper.
Yes. Yes. I agree. And I'm not that fast anymore. So, um, and I don't want to be. I like the longer, slower stuff.
Yeah, you're not slow. So what was your transition into that longer? When did you have your health issues? Share that with because people, when you share your stories about your real self, it opens up the world for other people of the possibilities of not staying stuck in feeling alone in any sense of
Right.
with something. So yeah, please share.
Okay. So, after my first few Bostons and some ultras, I was in the military still, and I did a race, and they put my race, the Canadian death race, in like the military newspaper. So they, so someone who was like a coach for Team Canada, but not associated with the military, saw the article about the race I did. So they reached out because they thought that I would be fast enough to try to qualify for Team Canada on the civilian side for the 100K. So I said, that sounds like a great idea. Okay, I'll try that. And I did that. I qualified and I went to the World Championships. One of the greatest memories of my running career. I got to represent Canada in 2010 in Gibraltar. And then I went in 2011 to Disney to do the Goofy. And
That
during the
suits you.
race, yeah, and there's
You're
a dopey
goofy.
too. I like dopey. So anyway, I was in Walt Disney World, and it was actually cold in the morning, and I slipped right in Epcot Center where there was ice. So I pulled like my hip, groin, SI area. So when I got back home, my doctor, said, "Oh, I got to get my little athlete back up to speed, and I need to refer you to a physio." And then he's like, "Well, Deneen, you've been running a lot. So while you're here, I'm just going to check your vitals." And he, said, "Okay, I want you to hold your breath. I want you to do this, do that." I'm like, "Doc, what's going on?" And he's like, "Well, it's probably nothing, but I hear a heart murmur." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So he's like, "Yeah, I definitely hear a heart murmur. So I'm going to get you tested." And then when I went for the tests, it got confirmed that I had a 14 millimeter hole in my heart. And I'd had
Wow.
that hole since I was born.
Yep.
So when I saw both a military cardiologist and a Canadian cardiologist, and a civilian cardiologist, and when I saw the civilian cardiologist, he was reading through my profile, and he looked at me and he said, "Is that right? You ran 100 kilometers for Canada?" And I said, "Yes, I've done that twice." And he said, "You realize with your condition, you're actually not supposed to be able to like go up the stairs without being winded. You're actually supposed to have a hard time to walk and run, let alone run like that." And he said, "You're an anomaly." And then he wanted to know what I felt that my symptoms were. I said, "Well, I'm a hyper person." And I said, "But so I, get a flutter, but I just thought that that was just my heart changing gears." He's like, "No, that's because you have a hole in your head." I said, "When I work out really hard, people tell me my lips turn blue." He's like, "That's definitely a symptom." I said, "Also, when I go up, elevation, like up in the mountains and places like that, I usually get sick." He's like, "That's because, you have oxygenated blood, not going, it's going back instead of like going, to your extremities." So I was having, the blood recirculating instead of, all going out to my extremities. So I got the hole filled on December the 19th of 2011. And that was the biggest hiatus I had to take from running. Um,
How
and
long was that time, recovery time for you?
It was almost 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I did exactly what I was told because I wanted to be able to get back to running.
Right.
And so I, of course, asked what any athlete would ask, you know, "Am I going to be able to run again?" And they're like, "Yes, you'll be able to run again." And I'm like, "How do I know that?" And so they told me that an NHL player, they couldn't say who because of, confidentiality,
Sure.
but that there was an NHL player who had the exact same, surgery, and that they were back playing, and they said, "Yep, they were, playing in the last couple of days, and they play the same amount that an average NHL player would play." So I said, "Okay," and I got back and haven't looked back.
That's awesome. There's life no matter what.
Absolutely. And like, I need something to burn my energy, right?
So that's true. And I'm curious though, because I totally believe in the body really wanting to survive. And then your energy was about running and your positive energy and that high, desire to keep going. I kind of have a inkling that your body was like, yeah, we're going to do this, and the heart, you're going to do it. We're going to make it happen. Because how did they not find it before?
That is something that I have wondered because I was already in the military. I already
Yeah,
had many medicals.
physicals. Yep.
I was deployed to Afghanistan, and no one found it. Now I've always had a very low heart rate, in the 30s. Um, you know, but yeah, but a lot of female athletes have very low heart rates.
So was your whole low heart rate even active through the day? Was it that low, or just at night when you slept?
So when I'm running, it goes high pretty quick. But in the daytime, if I'm just sitting working, it's like in the low 40s.
Okay. I
Walking
don't know what.
around, it can be in the mid 40s. It's pretty low.
Yeah. What's my heart rate?
Talking to you, it's probably 70.
So do you wear a heart rate monitor, or how do you monitor that?
I don't really watch my heart rate. I do have it on my watch, so it's always
Yeah.
there. But I don't really, I just go with how I feel.
Feels good. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I always try to, keep feeling good, right?
Yeah.
With running and speed walking, it's my release.
Yeah.
And, so I always try to gauge on how I feel. And, if things are starting to not feel good, it's like, what do I need to adjust to feel good again?
So what was the attraction to Across the Years? Because that's a bit of a journey for you because you're coming from Canada.
Yes.
And when was the first time you did ATY, and then what drew you to that?
So the first time I actually went to Across the Years was my best running friend. Her name is Natalie. She lives in Edmonton. She told me that she wanted to, do what I did and go to the worlds, and it was one of her dreams.
Oh,
And I
cool.
said, I said, Natalie, you can do that. Like, if I can do it, you can do it. So
Right.
we tried to figure out a race that she could qualify at before the worlds in Ireland. So we figured and found out that she could do Across the Years. So I went to Across the Years to crew her. So that
Ah,
was my first experience at Across the Years, watching people
yeah.
go around and around. It's like, what? These people have been going for 6 days. Back then, I thought 24 hours was like
A lot.
long. I was like, and you might have been there. I don't know. I didn't know you back then. So anyway, I crewed Natalie. She qualified. So her and I both got to go to Ireland together for 2017.
Oh,
Um,
fun.
she had a great race.
Yeah.
I did not. Yeah, I didn't have a very good race. I actually fainted towards the end.
Oh, dear.
And it was like I felt good, and then all of a sudden I didn't, and I was on the ground.
Oh my
But
goodness.
anyway, Natalie got to fulfill her dream. But watching those people and everyone going around and people saying, you should do that. So then I decided and figured I could go to Across the Years and try the 48-hour because I knew it wasn't going to be as intense, the 24. And it's like, oh, I can have a nap in the 48-hour. Okay.
What a concept.
I can have a nap, and oh wow, there's like this aid station that's like going through a buffet. Okay, this is a great idea. And I met you and got the addiction, and I love it. I've been kind of wondering if I should try the 6 day, but I really like the 72-hour after.
Yeah, I think Natu and I have talked about the 6 days. If you do 6 days, and we were talking about getting a camper, I think
Yes,
that's the only way to do it. And so you have your own comfortable place to sleep, right? He
yes,
he requires sleep a lot more than I require sleep. But for
yes.
6 days, well, what am I talking? I'm going to do Cocodona 250. That's going to be 5 days.
Oh, are you doing that? That's 250 miles, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
not flat, not going in circles.
No, it's like a lot of like, do you know off the top of your head how much elevation that is?
I know the first 37 miles is 11,000 feet.
So about
And I think
3,000
that's the
meters.
hardest section in the whole thing. But then you think about this. You're running, the first part you feel so fresh and good. How could it be the worst part? Because at 200 miles, I'm probably not going to feel that fresh and good. Who knows?
I've seen you after 200 miles. You usually look pretty good.
I've done, yeah, because I did the one time I think you were there. It was probably 2018. At 17, I tried it. I said 72 hours and I didn't do 200 miles. And then I think the next year I came back and did 72 hours and did 200 miles. And
Right.
so just like you, oh, somebody said you should try this. Oh, somebody said you should try this. Oh, you ought to do this. Jill Hudson, Karen, you need a 200-mile buckle. Oh, yeah, I need that.
So just so you know, we have something in common then, because Jill, if you're listening, when I did my first 48, I spent the last several hours with Jill. And it was Jill who, like, helped push me to get me to where I got in that race. And it was Jill who's like, you should do a 72-hour.
Because I think it was Jill, it was maybe the year that I did maybe it was 1 or 2 years before I did my 200, I helped her do her 200.
I
And I
love
think
that.
it's her second attempt. And I remember being on the venue they had prior
Oh,
than
Camelback Ranch.
Camelback Ranch. So, on the far side were the bathrooms and there was benches there. I remember having her lay on a bench and giving her a sleep time and getting her up, making her move because she was going to do 200 miles.
And she
On
got
my
it.
watch. But isn't that beautiful how people can inspire people and how we and that's how I got into cycling. I remember sitting with I loved biking anyways. I love the bike and I love
Okay.
cycling and being with the Davis Bike Club. They had a Christmas party or something. Everybody was talking about PBP. It was 1998, I think. And
Okay.
PBP is Paris Brest Paris, a 1200K. So to me, it's like the Boston of marathons, the Kona of Ironmans, Western States for
Oh,
hundreds, and
okay.
PVP was the elite for the 1200K bike rides. They're randonneers, they're brevets, and it's a French series of style of riding. And just listening to their stories, I'm like, oh, I want to do that.
I don't know anything about cycling. So,
Yeah. It's the same
no.
thing for running. You listen to people's stories and they
Oh,
inspire
yes.
you. And it's the same
Hmm.
thing. It's like because I came from the bike, many years on the bike, and then decided to run, which I thought was extremely stupid. But here we are.
Here we are. So I just want to go back to Jill for a minute
Yeah.
and talking about mindset and everything. So this across the years, I think you were all like you were already done your race, but New Year's Eve, it was like just after midnight, and I was coming up onto 200 miles, and I only had like 3 laps left to 200 miles, and then it started to pour rain. And of course, this past year was the year for me for like every race. It would like downpour for like a few hours during the nighttime. And some of my friends, running friends up here, are like, "Oh, Deneen, at least you're going to Arizona. You won't have like, the downpour." Sure enough, it's like looking up, and everybody said it was going to rain, and like it just poured. So of course I'm like, I don't care if it's raining. I'm gonna, get my 200 miles, and then I'm gonna like, have a quick rest and then keep going. And it was relentless, like for a while. So I finished the 200, and right when I finished, and of course I had to like go all the way around to get to my tent, and I was just soaked like to the bone. So of course I get in there and I'm like, wow, I'm too like cold and wet to lay down. I might as well just change, dry myself off, and like keep going. And so of course I go out and like I'm all warm, and I overdressed, and I was dressed like I was going to run out here in the winter. And so I went around. I'm like, okay, now I'm too hot. Now I got to go like shed a layer. So I was like dry, but I was like sweating. So I go around again. There's barely anybody out. So I finally got like the right clothes. I'm like, okay, still pouring, pouring. Of course, up in the distance, who's the silhouette I could see? Jill Hudson. So of course, it's two of the only people out on the course, Jill and I. Oh, and Yolanda. So, and anyway, and Jill and I just started talking about, that mental mindset of like just, keep going. And, some people are like, you went through the night. All I kept thinking about was, okay, I'm dry. I have a good layer on the outside. I'll treat myself by like just grabbing a small little treat every time I went by the aid station. And I just, kept going through the pouring rain. And because people looked and they're like, how did you manage to keep going through all that? It's like, well, thought to myself, if I stop, I'll feel cold. So I might as well just keep moving. So I
It's a huge mental mindset out there, especially and across the years, because you're going around in circles and you can talk yourself out of it or into it.
yeah.
If you set a goal, my problem is a few times I've set a goal and I never attain it because I talk too much to people.
I've made you come along with me before.
Well, this last year, I think I went 2 laps with you, and you're a heck of a walker. I have to learn how to speed walk like you do. You and Yolanda, man. When Yolanda wakes up and she gets going, she's trucking.
It feels good. I find that if you run too long in those, long, long races, it can drain you, like it can, lactic acid, and it can drain your, your mental toughness sometimes if you're running too much. And I
Yeah.
find that with walking, and if you're walking fast and in a good rhythm, and then you're running and you're walking, I find that there's a good balance. And, it helps, and it's different energies, right?
Right.
And I find that with walking, like there's one thing that people always ask me. They always ask me, they're like, how do you walk like that? And I say to them, I'm like, when you run, do you like do speed work when you're running? Yes. I said, well, I do that for walking. They're like, you do? I'm like, yeah, you got to, train, the way you race.
Right.
So, and for me, that mental toughness side comes from knowing that I have, that walking speed in my pocket, that if I don't feel like I have the energy to run, I know that I can lock into a walking speed and hold that, for quite a while. And it's comfortable.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
So
a good point. I mean, if you train to, I trained intervals running, but it's a good idea. And I know I went around with you a few times and I'd never walked like that before, so I felt it. You don't go out there to run 100 miles and then let's just train for speed walking while we're at it. So I have to get that I would like to get my walking momentum up, the cadence up. It's a hip, it's a cadence, it's a flow. And I like the interval of it. So what I do sometimes is, and it makes me in the present. So
Yes.
I kind of work my breath to my step, and
Yes.
I count how many running steps I do, and then I cut that in half to how many walking steps I do. I do
Nice.
that on just gradual uphills. If it's a nice, easy uphill, I'll do that. And it ends up making me pass everybody who's just walking.
Right. Yes. Okay. I
Because
see
I
that.
kind of, when I go down to the walking pace, I'm still kind of at the running cadence.
Right. It's almost like a shuffle.
Yeah. And so then I get back into the running and then the walking. So my average is better than if I just walked or if I just ran. Because if
Right.
I run, I'm going to wear myself down more, and then I slow down, and then that walking pace is slower. So
Right.
there's a rhythm that goes with that. And plus, that fixes the mindset to the present. That also fixes me connected to my breath. And
Right.
then I just flow with it. And so
Yes.
it's pretty darn fun.
Yes.
Can't do that and talk though.
I find what I do is I pick different spots. So I have different spots on the course, and I walk at the same places and I run at the same places every single time.
Oh, very good.
So, and anyone who's been on a course with me, like they know that I do that. And
Yeah.
I find that for me, mentally, I just get into that rhythm, and then I don't have to waste, the brain energy, if you will, on
Right.
knowing when I'm going to walk and run, because I just get into that rhythm, and then I can focus on other things I need to focus on. And I just kind of lock into that pattern. And I find that it makes the time go by fast as well.
Oh, for sure. And that's a really great point because you have something to look forward to. It's almost a mental thing. It has something to look forward to. Okay, at this point, I mean, on the trails, I'm like, okay, at that tree, I'm going to run, or at that tree, I'm going to walk, or at that
Yeah.
spot, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But when you're running in circles, you know that course pretty good. And you can
Yes.
make those spots. You can make them
Yes.
where it feels good to run and where it feels the best thing to walk.
Yes.
I did more running. For me this year, the new venue in Peoria, I had the wrong socks. That dirt in the back really got into my feet, and that really killed the back of my heel. And then
Gators.
yes, but taller socks too.
Right. Okay. I find taller socks because, well, I'm Canadian, right? So in the daytime, like I don't want high socks on me because I find them hot, right? So what I like about the Gators is, like, they're quite low and I can still have like short socks on.
Yeah.
Because the higher socks for me, I don't want that extra material when it's like 75 degrees Fahrenheit or like 25 degrees Celsius when that's warm for
Yeah.
me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so did you figure out like for your socks that you need to have like a different brand?
Nope. The brand I use, I love. It's the Darn Tough. So
Oh,
I have taller socks for the trails,
mm,
but then I wear gaiters. But then I wore my road shoes on across the years. But
right.
what I could wear is the Lone Peaks. I like ultras.
Oh,
And I
okay.
could wear the Lone Peaks, which has a very, it's a zero drop. It has a place where my gaiters attach onto.
Right.
And they're perfect for either side of the course because one side's all dirt, the other side's all concrete.
Yes.
And so it would
Mhm.
be fine as long as I don't trip over my feet.
And that's the other thing with that course, talking about like, keeping like a positive mental mindset is
Yeah,
that a lot of people were saying, oh, the course, it's really hard because of all the concrete. That's where I walk,
right.
right? Because then it's like not as hard on your body. And I was telling people that. So I was like, hey, like walk on the concrete and, you won't hurt as much. Oh, okay. And, I found that that helped. And then, of course, over in the dirt, um, I found in the daytime it was like quite dusty.
Yeah.
So at some points, I was actually pulling like my shirt over my face. I, and I probably could have had a mask.
Yeah, sometimes I'll wear a buff and I'll just pull it up. And the two has problems with that because he's a lot more sensitive to the dust and the dry air down there, and it gets his lungs.
Yes.
No, I didn't feel like I had any issues with that. And sometimes I like the concrete because I can feel like I'm not having to maneuver through anything, and I'm okay with that. But I get that we should walk the concrete, but then you can train on the concrete. About me is that, yeah, I went in there knowing this and that, and okay, what do I need to learn here? Well, I have to do the whole setup on my shoes different. And
Yes.
then I set up this goal for next year. Okay, then next year I'm going to do this and I'm going to look like that. I'm going to stay out there and I just practiced what I had intended. I didn't have any tent out there. I was supposed to do 48 hours and stay for the 48 hours. And then the two was supposed to do two 100s. Well, he did one 100 and stopped at that. And then 48 hours, but I didn't have a tent. I didn't have anything. I was just going to use their nap tent or their sleep tent however long. So I laid down for 20 minutes one time and then 40 minutes the next time. I didn't feel cold. I
No,
never
those
felt
tents are
cold.
warm.
Yeah,
Like
it was a warm night. I didn't feel cold. I never put on any more clothes or anything. Maybe I put on a jacket. I don't know. Don't think I needed gloves or anything, but
it was the
I,
warmest across the years I've done.
yeah. And so, we're actually having a very warm winter.
We're not.
I know over there it's not. Over here it is. We've had Christmas was the atmospheric storm coming through. It's a warm rain dumping lots of rain. But we can't get lots of rain and then have it sunny for the next month or two. I mean, that's
Right.
not good. So, but yeah, we're having a pretty warm winter.
Well, Karen, we can trade places.
I'm good.
I got a couple feet of snow outside.
I was saying to somebody else on New York was showing on the news the other day of shoveling all their snow, where they said would fill a
Mm.
football field into a truck melting snow, making water so they get the snow off the road.
They do that in Toronto.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
funny.
So
Um,
we're supposed to be getting another storm. So there was and it seems to be the last few weeks. It's Mondays. So Sunday night into Monday, 2 weeks ago, last week, and then this weekend again. So it'd be 3 Mondays in a row that like schools are closed. Anybody who can work from home is working from home. Um, yeah, so it's a lot of indoor running for me to get ready for jackpot.
are you going to be at Jackpot?
I am.
So
I
is
got
it a two? And are you doing the USATF qualifier
no.
or just
I'm
the?
doing the 48.
Okay. I will be out there. I'm going to be crewing and pacing, I
Okay.
hope. A friend of mine, I actually need to contact her, who's doing her first 100,
Oh,
and she's
that's
70
exciting.
years old.
I love that.
I love that. And I hadn't seen her in a long time. I was out here running one Sunday or something, and I saw her and I hadn't seen her in a long time. And so we started chatting and she told me what she was going to do, but she hadn't really told anybody.
Right.
But she's telling me, and I said, okay, I'm going to not do formidable, even though I was going to do that for my training for Cocodona, but I'm doing all the training for it and I will come pace you. And she was in tears. And I'm like,
That's
I want to see you succeed. Then you're going to be on my podcast.
oh, I love that, Karen. That's
I'll get to see
wonderful.
you out there. Jill will be there.
Yeah,
Rachel
yes.
will be there.
So this will be the soonest I've done a big race after across the years. I always say that for an ultra runner that I'm like a lower mileage, like compared to like Jill and Amy Moore and all of them. Like I'm a lower distance like ultra runner, a multi-day person. But in like other years I've been like, how can like these people, go and run like, big races like jackpot so soon after across the years. Well, I'm doing it this
There
year.
you go, girl. You're going to find out.
John asked me at the end of across the years to go, so
Oh, good.
I'm going, and
Nice.
so the turnaround of trainings was pretty fast after across the years.
Yep.
So it's just more of like recovery and maintenance. So it's like, are you in recovery? Are you in maintenance? Are you in like peak? I don't really know. It's just, I guess, kind of maintenance till
Well, that's awesome for you to experience it. It's what, a good month and a half since across the years.
so a month tomorrow, right? Because I
Yeah,
finished
and it's
on New
February
Year's
28th,
Day.
so we get another 3 more
20th, yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, 3 weeks from right now, we'll be into day one. So I'm excited for it, and I'm very excited because I'll get to run outside, snow and ice
Right.
free. So that's something that definitely motivates me.
Yep. Yep.
So getting to run in shorts and a t-shirt outside in the wintertime
Yeah,
is
it'll be pretty
any
warm for you coming from your temperature, and then we're
yes.
complaining because it's like 40, and we're complaining because it's cold.
I'm like, that cold is not
Right.
cold. That's good running weather, 40 degrees.
It is great running weather. It's absolutely perfect. So, well, awesome. We'll get to see you at Jackpot.
So I'm excited for it. And I hear that there's like a long and a short course. So
Uh-huh.
that 48 hours, the long course. So I think long in the sense of that is 2 miles.
I'm not sure. I haven't researched it because I'm not really doing it, but
Yeah.
I think she wants to do the 48 hours to get her first 100.
Right.
So we'll
Okay.
drive out there on Thursday before the race.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to meeting her and seeing you.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. So are you going to do across the years next year?
Probably.
I will, and I will do it. Maybe I'll do 48 hours and see if I can get it 150 miles.
Oh, you can, Karen?
Oh, I know I can. I can do 41 hours and do 140 miles on Route 66. You should come do Route 66 one of these days.
What time of the year is it?
November.
Oh, okay. So it wouldn't be like cooking hot.
No, it starts in Seligman, Arizona, and finishes in Topeka, Arizona.
Okay.
Marshall and Heather all put it on. It is the funnest race. So this year I'm going to. Nathu says he wants to do it. I've done it the past 2 years as a crude runner, and there's a girl, Sandy Giesel. She was on the podcast. I'm going to be a journey runner, and I'm going to hang with her. A
A
journey
journey
runner
runner?
is, and so is, you don't know Amy Adams. A journey runner is somebody you're fully self-supported. So you got to
Oh,
carry
okay.
all your stuff.
Oh, I think in some races they call it like screwed or something like that. Yeah, I heard that term in some of the longer races, like you're either crude or screwed.
haven't heard that.
No? Oh, okay.
No, I think it would be a really neat adventure. I think that'd be very cool because I've always looked for crews, wait for my husband, but if he wants to do it, then he might have to find a crew. I don't know if he'll do it without a crew, but it's really a beautiful race.
Okay,
It's
I'll have to look it up.
140 miles and go to Route 66 Ultra. Sign up.
Okay, but it's in November.
No, it's November. It's the second week of November, I believe. It's usually around the 11th. And the reason this is great, such a great year, is because Route 66 is celebrating its 100th year.
Oh,
And Route 66 used to be the main east-west
corridor.
road going from the east to west.
Okay,
Got interrupted by Interstate 40 and 10, not 10, 10's way south. 80, no, mostly 40.
okay. Yeah, no, it's not something I've looked at, but like, heck, jackpot wasn't something that I looked at either. But and when John asked me, "Hey, Denise, would you do the jackpot?" I'm like, I haven't, like, I know people do it, and I've, like, seen, like, videos and stuff of people doing it, but and I know it's like like close to Vegas, but that's all I really knew. So I'm like, when can I get back to you on that? And then I looked into it and I'm like, okay, maybe I should do this. So
Awesome, awesome. That's exciting. I'll get to see you
yeah,
too. So very cool.
yeah. And to be honest, I'm curious to see how far I can go, you know, for what feels to me like not that long after across the years, because
Yep.
this will be, yeah, like I said, the shortest. So I'm excited, I'm motivated to see, and if it just means that I'm speed walking more, I'm
Yep.
good with that, you know.
Yeah.
And I heard that the aid station's good there too.
Okay.
So I'll be able to bribe myself with getting, treats and keep going.
Yep.
So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I'll be crewing and pacing. So if you need anything, let me know. I'm going to work the packet pickup Friday morning.
Okay.
Um,
So a friend of mine's coming with me. So she's her name's Amanda, and she's going to run the 12-hour. So she said she'll give me a hand in the day on Friday, and
Perfect.
then I guess the 12 hours like at nighttime.
Okay.
So then the next day she'll like rest up and then probably come hang out for a while and watch us go around in circles. And then I think that there's a road race in Vegas like the Sunday afternoon.
Oh,
So
jeez.
then she's going to do that.
Okay.
So I'm hoping I'm good enough to be able to like go into Vegas and like at least watch her.
Yeah,
So
you will be.
we'll see.
So here you guys listen to this. These are motivational talks, chats about motivating you to do something beyond your comfort zone and be inspired by people who've done the impossible, you might believe. Coming from a hole in her heart to a very heartful woman running heck of fast. Deneen, thank you so much for being on our
Thank
podcast or my
you,
podcast.
Karen. Thank you. It was
Super
really
excited to have
fun.
you. So, my friend, what are some inspiring words you can leave our listeners?
One thing I would say is you are almost always stronger than you think you are.
Right.
And I would say, a lot of people think at these big races that you have to run all the time. You don't. And you can actually usually get further if, you're patient with yourself. You give yourself a bit of a break. You walk, you run, you actually take in the scenery around you. You will enjoy it more than just looking at your watch and that you have to catch the next person. Go catch the next tree instead.
You're right. I love that. Thank you, Deneen.
Thank you, Karen.